Fox News alert, Donald Trump leaving the G7 early and returning to Washington, where he's requesting the National Security Council be prepared in the Situation Room after a deadly weekend in the Middle East. In Israel, 24 fatalities, 600 wounded. The death count even higher in Iran, 224 dead and counting. Iran retaliating by firing over 370 missiles at the Jewish state, but Israel's hitting back harder. Overnight, Iranian missiles struck an Israeli oil refinery and a power grid. This morning, a state TV outlet in Tehran was bombed during a live broadcast.
آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استادیوم.
Tel Aviv is claiming full aerial superiority over Iranian airspace. They downed 2 Iranian fighter jets today after top Iranian military officials were taken out Friday. Israel says they've already destroyed a third of Iran's missile launchers, and nuclear sites are getting pummeled so badly that residents are being warned of radiation spillage. The IDF is warning that Iran will pay the price, and they've scheduled this campaign to last 2 weeks. Their plan is to degrade the Iranian nuclear program and destroy their ballistic missile stockpiles. The mullahs are getting battered, and they don't have the military capacity to trade endless missile strikes with Israel. They need a breather and are crossing their fingers that we don't provide the bunker busters that could eliminate their nuke sites deep underground. So they're begging Trump to come back to the negotiation table, hoping that the U.S. doesn't get involved militarily and that Netanyahu will take his finger off the trigger. Trump signaling that he'd prefer a deal over death.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
Democrats call Trump the taco president, a.k.a. Trump always chickens out. But he gave the Iranians a deadline for a deal, and they missed the deadline. So he let Netanyahu go at him. Now Iran's begging for mercy. And they're not going to get a good of a deal now. The whole world witnessed that. That sends a strong message everywhere, even on trade. Now Iran's lost leverage. They're at their weakest point in decades. Israel's neutralized their proxies, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Assad in Syria. The Iranians don't have much of a navy. Their air force is ancient, and their army's sitting ducks if they cross the border on foot into Iraq. They can't project power. The only thing keeping the Ayatollah alive is his nuclear program, and he's clinging on to it so that he doesn't get Gaddafi'd. You remember, Gaddafi gave up his nuclear program, and then Barack, Hillary, and the Europeans killed him anyway. Trump says it's very simple.
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens.
America can't let Iran acquire a nuclear weapon, or any other country. Americans can't get blackmailed by rogue states. And stopping the spread of nuclear weapons has been American policy since Oppenheimer made one. Trump originally put Netanyahu on ice and told him not to strike. But NBC reports Trump had a change of heart after the International Atomic Energy Agency said Iran was cheating. 47 didn't want to be the president on whose watch it was able to obtain a nuclear weapon. So the Pentagon started to quietly move resources to the region, deploying reconnaissance aircraft to conduct surveillance and provide intelligence to Israel. Moved anti-drone and anti-missile systems from Ukraine to the Middle East. a carrier strike group from the Pacific to the Eastern Mediterranean, and they're assisting Israel with refueling flights. We're helping Israel intercept Iranian strikes and defending American soldiers and assets in the region.
So you were closely coordinating with the U.S. throughout this process?
Look, we're fully coordinated, but understand that America, under President Trump, will make the decisions that are best for America. That's the way it is. He understands that I, as the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, must make the decisions that are important for the survival of my country, and he will do what is best for America. That is a relationship of mutual respect and mutual confidence.
Israel has its own agenda. They're looking out for their own interests. And sometimes those interests align with ours, and sometimes they don't. Israel isn't interested in talks with Iran. Netanyahu called the nuclear negotiations between Tehran and Washington fake. Trump disagrees. He'd rather negotiate a settlement than settle it with airstrikes. Israel wants regime change. Reports say Trump told Netanyahu no when they asked to assassinate Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei. Officials say, have the Iranians killed an American yet? No. Until they do, we're not even talking about going after the political leadership. Bibi says Iran tried to kill Trump.
These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to your cities? Of course not.
Yeah.
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him.
Whoa. Well, we know Iran tried to kill Trump, but we never knew Ruth and Crooks were Iranian proxies. Either Netanyahu just shared intelligence that hasn't been shared with the American people, or he's spinning. Remember, there's always propaganda when missiles are flying. And as critical as it is to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon, we've seen the risks of regime change. What comes next is the question. Iran's a theocracy. You can take out the Ayatollah, but there's still 30,000 radical clerics. You can't kill them all. So who takes over after a decapitation strike? Someone even more dangerous? Does the country disintegrate into militia infighting? Do insurgents take over the oil sector? Do jihadists pour in from all over the world and force Iranian refugees to pour out? And then who takes them? Israel doesn't have to manage that chaos. That'll fall to the United States. We've overthrown Iranian leaders before. We installed the Shah, and he was a great ally against the Soviets and kept the oil flowing. But he was so unpopular, there was a revolution, and these fundamentalists took over. Their paramilitary groups laid siege to the region, and they started enriching uranium. It's who we're dealing with now. You never really know what happens after you topple a leader. You'd rather have ships sailing from Europe to the Indian Ocean without any trouble. So far, oil prices haven't spiked too much. Oil in the 60s, it's what's kept inflation at bay this year. Let's keep it that way. There's two key things to look for to tell you how this conflict's going to play out. If the Israelis start targeting Iranian oil refineries, that could tell you regime change could be next, because a domestic energy crisis will turn the streets against Iranian leadership. And also look for whether bunker busters will be used. Israel has them, but they don't go as deep as the American ones. And if the U.S. delivers them to Israel or uses them ourselves, that'll cripple the only card Iranians have left and could lead to the Iranians lashing out wildly in a last-ditch effort to preserve their power. Or it could force them to sign a settlement where they swear off enrichment. Or the settlement opens up their country for inspections so invasive that it makes it almost impossible for the regime to retain legitimacy and hurts their ability to control their own population, which is their main goal. At that point, you could have a revolution, or anything could happen. This is a fast-moving story. Trump just posted on Truth Social, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. This country elected President Trump because they trust him as commander-in-chief more than they trusted Joe Biden, and much more than they would have trusted Kamala Harris. One of the reasons he won the Republican primary in 2016 was because he called the Iraq war dumb. But Trump has also shown his willingness to take strong and decisive action to eliminate foreign threats. So far, the risks to American soldiers have been minimal, and we hope it stays that way. Because if we can achieve a peaceful solution to the Iranian issue, the rest of the president's Mideast agenda falls into place. The Abraham Accords, low energy prices, free shipping lanes, and an AI market that relies on U.S. tech. We can then finally pivot to Asia and back here to the homeland to confront more immediate challenges.
Also tonight, thus far, Israel's air campaign, it has been a massive success. According to multiple reports, the mullahs of Iran are now begging for new negotiations. One report, not confirmed, has the supreme leader negotiating asylum, possibly with Putin and Russia. Almost all of their top military commanders, they are now dead. Their top nuclear scientists, they're also dead. Their ability to fire ballistic missiles, as you just heard from Trey Yangst, that is diminishing by the hour. Their weaponry slowly being depleted and degraded. Their nuclear aspirations, they are quickly coming to an end, which is good for mankind. As President Trump has emphasized over and over and over again, and he tried hard. He fought hard for peace. Iran cannot, in the end, have a nuclear weapon, period, end of sentence. Take a look.
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran, and we're well on our way to making sure that happens.
Now, that would be the Trump doctrine. I fully, completely support this doctrine. As the president wrote on Truth Social, America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Make America great again. The president also made one other point very clear. If we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. Armed Forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. In the meantime, it appears that Israel's air campaign, now with full air superiority, they own the Iranian skies, achieved in just 4 days, will only be ramping up at this point. They own the skies. They have all the leverage. But let's be clear. This conflict, any conflict, is not without risk. It is not without hardship. It is not without suffering. Also, part of the Trump doctrine is no more forever wars. I fully agree with that also. With Israel owning the air over the entire country of Iran, the country now is suspect. They're going to lose their nuclear program. That is pretty abundantly clear tonight. But they could also lose their electric grid, which is gas-driven. That could be taken out just as quickly. All their refineries, which is their entire economy, can also be taken out. And without a protracted war or boots on the ground, doesn't make it risk-free. Everything has risk. However, the president is correct. The greater risk would be to do nothing. In the face of a clear and present danger, the world cannot experience another Holocaust. Iran has proven over and over again, convert or die, death to Israel, death to America. And as the president repeats over and over again, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just noticed how Israel hits military targets. And look at what the Iranians are doing. They're terrorizing heavy populated civilian areas like Tel Aviv. Imagine the region with a nuclear-armed Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, pledging to wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map, fighting proxy war after proxy war after proxy war. I brought this up last week. Ask yourself how many rockets, if they were fired into our country by the #1 sponsor of terror, and they were threatening to wipe us off the map, how many rockets would it take before every American demanded a military response from their government? Israel now for decades has been the target of tens, not hundreds of thousands of rocket attacks. Now the ballistic missiles, they're getting more powerful than ever. 2,000 pounds, and the Iranians, according to reports, they want 4,000-pound ballistic missiles. That can cause a lot of damage in a city like Tel Aviv. I've been there. What would you want a U.S. president to do? And that is exactly what Israel is facing. Iran wanted to wipe the world's only Jewish state off the map, and with each passing day, the Islamic Republic was getting closer and closer to achieving that goal. During both the Obama and Biden years, Iran was able to do pretty much whatever they wanted. I blame both of them for enriching the uraniums. I blame both of them, especially Biden, turning a blind eye to the sanctions that were bankrupting him that Donald Trump had put in place. They stockpiled thousands of ballistic missiles. They were able to use that money to foment terror all over the region and build out their nuclear program and enrich uranium at a far more rapid pace. They're armed. They have armed their proxies to the teeth, all while declaring, you know, what they want, what their stated goal is. And while Israel has neutralized Iran's top proxies, the nuclear program, the country's missile production capabilities, they were picking up speed. In about a month, a nuclear holocaust would have been a real possibility. That is not a risk that any country should ever have to face. Unfortunately, the so-called party of compassion doesn't seem to care. In fact, the base of the Democratic Party, others with extreme views, they seem perfectly okay with the virulent anti-Semitism in the halls of Congress, on college campuses, and worldwide. And, you know, from the river to the sea, how often have we heard that? Or at best, they wouldn't mind if it did happen. In fact, tonight, left-wing protesters in New York City openly supporting Iran. Take a look.
Do you condone or condemn the missiles on Israel?
Condone!
Condone!
Israel!
Israel about
terrorist apartheid regime! The Israel, the U.S. empire!
it's a colonial project.
It's a racist piece of state! Fake country! Made of fake people! White supremacy!
The party of AOC, the party of the Squad, the party of Jasmine Crockett, the party of Grandpa Bernie have gone outright insane. They're literally out in the street dressed like Islamic extremists, calling for the destruction of Israel from the river to the sea. Their anti-Semitic protests have raged now for nearly 2 years. This is the same party that turned a suspected human trafficker, gang member, illegal immigrant, Abrego Garcia into their hero. The same party that blocks highways and attacks law enforcement and federal buildings because ICE is doing what the law requires and deporting criminal illegal immigrants that Joe, Kamala, and Mayorkas allowed into this country. That means known terrorists. We have Iranian hit squads in the country. We have murderers. We have rapists. We have cartel members, gang members, drug dealers, and people that commit other heinous crimes. The same party that burned Teslas and attacked their owners, all because Elon Musk supported Donald Trump and was saving money and rescuing astronauts. The same party obsessed with gender identity politics, allowing and championing the right of men to play women's sports. The same party that supports racist DEI policies over merit and hard work. The same party that believed the Russia hoax. They went along with FISA warrants. The same people that went along with false valuations at Mar-a-Lago. The same party that calls the summer of 2020 the summer of love, 574 riots. The same party that tried to remove Donald Trump from the ballot through lawfare and picked their own presidential candidate without a single primary vote. Now it's the very party that lacks any and all self-awareness with a ridiculous nationwide no quote Kings protest. Here's a concept that Democrats might want to remember. We actually had a nationwide election. Trump won, you lost, you called him every name in the book, used all the lawfare possible, you weaponized the DOJ, you still lost. He won every single swing state, and he won the popular vote. The only people acting like tyrants in America right now are those committing these acts of violence. And, of course, the silence from leaders in the Democratic Party is deafening. All the vandalism, all the intimidation, all because they lost an election. Well, we're going to, you know, the Democrats' No Kings protest. We'll get to more of that later in the show.
All right. As you probably knew, our very own Kat Timpf gave birth to a delightful baby boy this February. He has a grotesquely yellow head. And just like Mom, he now weighs 16 pounds. Of course, as you know, I just had a baby, too. But Kat, being competitive as always, she had to do one better and got diagnosed with cancer. Which makes my ringworm seem pretty lame in comparison. So, okay, Kat, you win. And in a way, she did. Doctors caught her cancer just hours before she went into labor through a checkup she wouldn't have had if she wasn't pregnant. Fact is, if she hadn't had the baby, she wouldn't have known she had cancer. And she wouldn't have had the surgery to remove the cancer. So for you keeping score, Kat had sex, which in getting pregnant cured her cancer. Meaning, sex cures cancer. Now I have a new pickup line at the Villages. But the real story is the little guy who came into the world already a hero, for he saved his mommy's life. If I were him, I would hold that over her head every chance I get. Mom, can I use the car? No, son, you're only 14. Oh, yeah? If I wasn't born, you wouldn't be alive to say that. Fair point. Here's the keys. Pick me up some pierogies and some Mike's Hard Lemonade. But if there's anything you learn about Kat, it's that she handles big things with ease, and that ease is inversely proportional to how she handles small things. God forbid I leave my phone at my desk while I use the bathroom and don't respond to one of her texts within 5 seconds. It usually goes like this. Greg, got a sec? Hello? Greg, it's Kat. Okay. You mad at me? Was it something I said? Something I did? Is it about the thing I left in the bathroom? Am I in trouble? Am I fired? Guess I'm fired. Should I just get my things? I'll come when you're not there. I guess this is it. I knew this would happen. You never liked me, but I never liked you either. You're short, loud, your breath stinks, and I've seen better glutes on rats in the subway. Sorry about that last text. I didn't mean it. Can I have my job back? Okay, I'll send Cam to box up my things. If it's okay, I'd like to take my Ron Paul coffee mug. I just hope that someday I can use you as a reference at Boston Market. Of course, then I finally respond, hey, Kat, what's up? I was just taking a dump. So that's Kat, but not in a nutshell, because it's the huge stuff she tackles without complaint. Truthfully, if we couldn't see that she was pregnant, we probably wouldn't have known. She treated it the way most guys treat a groin pool. And cancer and the surgeries that followed, I haven't seen a person dive head into battle like that in a while. She tackled that head on, like Joy Behar shoving aside security at a KFC grand opening. No wonder Kat has a cat that is 15 years old. Gene's in simply staying alive to prove he has more lives than her. So you could credit this character of Kat's to her Detroit origins, but she's as American as baseball, apple pie, and sending hate mail to Brian Kilmeade. Yeah, we do sweat the small stuff. We complain about traffic, the news, nuclear war, but when faced with big stuff, we're always up for the fight. And so is Kat, as she offers us this heartwarming message before undergoing cancer surgery.
Let's go.
So, Kat is someone who always has your back, even when you don't text her back. So we're super happy Kat's returned. We missed her dearly. We know the future will still be hard for her. There will be other hurdles, I'm sure. But we have faith in her as much as I hope she has faith in us to be here when things get rough or when things get better, but she still complains. So please welcome Kat back and congratulate her for kicking out a baby and kicking cancer's ass. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's got a Lifetime Achievement Award from LensCrafters, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. He's got a face for radio and a voice for serial killing. Comedian and founder of Western Razor, David Angelo. She's back with humor after beating a tumor. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Kat Timpf. And he spent Father's Day alphabetizing his cards. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion, Tyrus. So, Kat, welcome back.
Thank you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you miss me?
So much. It's been a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff's happened. I did not get stretch marks, which was something I was very worried about.
Yes.
I remember before I left. I didn't get stretch marks. I did cut my tits off.
Yeah.
So I am boob free.
Yes.
I am cancer free as well. They got everything. So I'm very excited about it. It was a hard thing to go through, and it still is, as you know, you mentioned. I still have reconstruction surgeries ahead. I still have things to go through. Tough thing to go through. Easy decision to make because, like, I didn't want to risk my life for some 32 A's.
Yeah. Been there.
But I mean, I love being a mom, and you know, the whole thing, the way that it happened, it really was truly insane. I really had a day between the cancer diagnosis and the labor. We don't know for sure what happened. I could have gotten cancer because I was pregnant, and even if I did, he's still so worth it because I love him so much. And I know that's so cheesy, and I know that's so gross, and I used to hear people say that, and I was like, how I can't imagine my life without him, and I used to want to throw up on them, but now I'm one of those people.
Yeah, you know what? It's called a transformational experience where you couldn't even go back in time and explain to yourself what it's like.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. And honestly, thank you to everyone here I've been talking to throughout this time. You. Even David Angelo texted me, you know.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, and then...
He's soulless.
I just needed to borrow a phone charger.
Yeah.
You had no idea.
No, I did. I just, you know.
And everybody also who's, you know, said nice things. That's been really great. But I do want to clear one thing up, too, also, that sometimes there have been times when you have not texted me back, when you have been mad at me.
I can't even do that without getting a complaint.
I just want to clear that up.
All right. See? Now I'm going to get a text about that.
I already sent it.
I'm texting him right now.
Yes. So, Kennedy, how awesome is it to see her back? You were filling in for her. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm just trying not to cry because, like, I've been looking forward to this day for her for so long.
I know. I'm trying to, because then I'm going to say.
I know, but she's
I won't cry.
Like, what you said is so perfect because she is so hysterically neurotic. When she found out she was pregnant, she sent me a screenshot of 5 pregnancy tests.
Yeah, I didn't believe it.
She's like, I only told my sister I'm gonna go take 20 more. But she was one of those people who was so easy peasy throughout pregnancy. She had the scare at the end, and you know, she called me when she had, you know, the horrible news that the test for cancer was positive, and then went into labor a few hours later, and then handled labor like a champion. And they kept trying to convince her. I don't know if I can say this.
Yeah.
Edit it out if I can. that she should have a C-section. She was like, no, absolutely not. I'm having this baby. They had to do things that were so incredibly painful, and she soldiered through every moment. And she's just absolutely, truly incredible. And for her to be here today with the sense of humor that she has, let me give you a quick story. So she and Cam are raising their child on their own. They don't have a night nurse or a nanny. They're really just a beautiful family. So she was on the couch with her sister Julia, and the baby pooped. And she was like, Cam, can you please change the baby? And you hear Cam in the other room, I changed him last time. It's your turn to change his diaper. And she goes, Cam, I have cancer.
Nice.
Wouldn't you?
I think you can milk that for a while.
Yeah, you got to, no pun intended. None. David, you're a comedian, a veteran comedian. Can you fashion some jokes out of this material, or at least plug your Western Razor company?
Oh, that'll happen. But I just want to say what a great person Kat is, because she, you know, in the height of it all, cancer, newborn baby, she did come over and gave me the phone charger. You know? I didn't want to go, you know, I didn't want to go over. She came over to it was just easier. For me, it was easier for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, she's a strong woman, and like a lot of strong women. You know, we have a new line of products now that are aimed for, just for her, you know? American-made razors. They're no longer just for men. So check it out at westernrazor.com.
Nicely done. All right, Tyrus. Last word. Your partner in crime is back.
Yes. It has been horrible. Thank God you're back. But I would like to say one thing. I think
And again, I think Kennedy needs to be a permanent member of our team. She needs to be part of the Gutfeld show. Because not only did you carry the weight, you also did it, which is so rare in this business, as a friend, as a partner. Like, you were just there for her. And entertainment's an ugly business, you know, and you refused, and it was a beautiful thing, and it was really good to think. But I'm really excited because I finally got to meet Big Ben, and that's my nickname because one of the pictures I got, he was the same length as a watch, and I said, "Oh, Big Ben, that's my guy." And finally I got to meet, and I said there was not going to be any problems with me and Big Ben because he heard my voice for the last 8 months, and when I saw him in there, it was like we just picked. Like, you would have thought. I mean, obviously the skin tone's off, so he wasn't mine. But but I was holding him. We were playing. I was getting kisses. He pulled my beard.
I pulled your beard a lot.
Greg came in. We both made the same look. And so I didn't get a chance to give you a gift, but I have a gift for Big Ben because every young man starting out in the world needs to have. Now, he can't have it right now. You got to wait. But he needs to have his own Godzilla. So this is for Big Ben's first. This is Big Ben's first action figure. It is. Not a doll.
Yes,
this ain't girl stuff.
Okay.
This is an action figure for Big Ben.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tyrus.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's sweet. You didn't get me anything.
I'm sorry, were you born? Do you have cancer?
Yeah, where's your cancer?
Yeah.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.